Let's compare a Rey Skywalker Legacy lightsaber from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge to an Ultrasabers Empress lightsaber. So this is a custom saber, which means it's not officially licensed or anything like that, but it is heavily influenced, let's say, by the design of the Rey Skywalker lightsaber. So first of all, if you have the Rey Skywalker Legacy lightsaber from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, it does come in this box. So it's kind of this cargo style box. It's pretty cool. And it does close all the way also, but it also can serve as a kind of display box too. So that's sort of a nice feature. Each Legacy lightsaber comes in a slightly different box, you know, based on the size of the hilt and sometimes the shape and that type of thing as well. But, you know, the main purpose of this video is actually to sort of compare side by side these hilts. We'll take a look at the size of the hilts compared to each other and design features, other details, that type of thing. So I'll move the box to the side. All right, so when you first see these, you'll notice they are somewhat similar in size, okay? Like there's not like a huge kind of disparity there, but the Legacy lightsaber is also a little bit longer and it's also wider. So Ultrasabers is definitely the slimmer of the two hilts here. And I know the company has a little bit of a rap for having some wider hilts in some cases, but at least in this side by side, it is definitely the slimmer one. Now, the color scheme of these two hilts is very different, as you can see. The Ultrasaber's hilt is anodized black, so it's just all black. And the Legacy lightsaber has a lot more color variation throughout. So it has sort of an overall grayish look to it, but then there's kind of these orange sections that maybe represent rust or some kind of sand, I don't know, sand weathering. And then there's also some wear at the top of the hilt too. And then we've got this wrap in the middle, which is really one of my favorite parts about the Legacy lightsaber, actually, guys. Lots of different color going on. So we have kind of tan color on the outside of the wrap, and then more of a brownish in the middle. But there's really some different color variation there. Now, the Ultrasaber's hilt doesn't have a wrap to it, although, you know, people can certainly add their own, so that's not necessarily a big deal. Now, if we look at the top of the hilt, on the Ultrasaber's hilt, let me close that, you can see the sort of little triangles on the top, and those are just kind of permanently affixed that way. So they're like little claws coming out, I guess. Now on the Legacy lightsaber here, so first you can look at the top, and there's a lot more detailing to the little triangles. And then they also come open. So if you attach the blade, you would have all of these open. So you just kind of manually open them like that. And they are made of plastic, so that's a little bit of a downside. I could see these potentially breaking. But now there's the side by side. You see the triangles are much larger on the Legacy lightsaber. Now moving down below that, there's kind of a flat face, or there's several kind of flat faces on the kind of top ring around the emitter section. And then below that, we reach sort of this kind of spined section. They both have these sort of spine-like pieces that extend down. Now this entire section on the Ultrasaber's hilt, you can see, is longer and kind of narrower. Now the Legacy lightsaber in this area here, it almost looks like little springs in there. That's kind of what it looks like. The Ultrasaber's hilt has some windows there, so if you did have this hilt configured, you know, with blade lighting, you'd see the blade lighting through there. Now below that, there's kind of this notched section, so it's sort of a gear tooth section. You can see both of the hilts have that section. However, the notches or kind of gear teeth are much larger on the Legacy lightsaber. They're also kind of rounded. On the Ultrasaber's hilt, much more narrow. Now below that, there's a little bit of a flared out section on the Legacy lightsaber, and the Ultrasaber's part has this more of a lip shape to it, so you can see those two sections are very different in design. Now moving down, we get to that grip section. I talked about this wrap already. Now the switches on these hilts are actually in about the same spot. So the Legacy lightsaber switch just kind of slides over. You do need a blade attached. For the Ultrasaber's hilt, this would accept an AV switch, but you know, this is an empty hilt, so it has the open hole there. Again, you could add your own wrap. You could, you know, do something very similar to the Legacy lightsaber if you wanted to. Now below the wrapped part, it kind of flares out again on the Legacy lightsaber, very complementary to the section right above the grip section there. Now the Ultrasaber section, it's not quite, it doesn't flare out quite the same way. It's just kind of a little more uniform. And moving down, so for both of these hilts, this kind of lower section very much complements the aesthetics of the upper section. So it's really sort of another bookend to each of the hilts. You can see the venting is different. So the Ultrasaber's hilt has pommel venting here, has kind of horizontal venting, and nothing on the actual base. Whereas the sound vents on the Legacy lightsaber are right on the bottom. Now, another thing you might notice is this. So this is like a built-in belt clip, I think. So that's included on the Legacy lightsaber. That's a neat touch. Now, one thing you can't really tell with the video is the weight. So this is almost like a hand weight, you guys. It's heavier than the other Legacy lightsabers I've dealt with. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but even if this had electronics in it, it wouldn't be as heavy as the Legacy lightsaber, I don't think. So there you have it. Now for the last thing, I know I can attach a blade to this hilt, so I'm sure people would like to see that, so I'll just take a quick second to do that. Now I have to make sure that all these kind of teeth at the top are open. Again, I think there would be some risk that these could break, but hopefully not. I just gotta slide that in and twist. And there it is. Alright, so this was just a side-by-side look at two different lightsaber hilt designs. So on the left is a Legacy lightsaber, Rey Skywalker Legacy lightsaber from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And on the right is a custom saber. This is an Ultrasabers Empress lightsaber, and it's, well, influenced by the design of the Rey Skywalker lightsaber as well. So feel free to comment below.